What is going on with homeowners insurance rate hikes in 2022?
And stay tuned. I'm Miko. What's going on with homeowners insurance? We have a special guest here with us, Michelle Horneburger from Allstate Insurance.
Thanks, you guys, for inviting me. I love coming with you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. And yeah, so how are we being affected here on the Central Coast or California with these new rates or?
Yeah.
It's interesting, Michelle, because we talked a little bit and you said that California has not been really affected, because we were both reading articles saying that it had been.
So at this point, I am not aware of any state rate hikes that have been asked for by the Department of Insurance. So a company can't arbitrarily raise their rates. They have to go to the Department of Insurance and ask. And the Department of the Insurance has the ability to yay or nay, or not as much as you want, or in sometimes companies, not us personally, but companies have gone and asked for a rate increase and actually been told they will have to take a rate decrease.
What?
Yeah, we're highly regulated. It's not just as willy-nilly.
I was thinking those words too, willy-nilly.
As you would, I know as customers, as I'm a customer too, and we're all conscious of when we get our deck pages and we're like, what? And, but no, I don't see any rate hikes on the horizon.
Okay, so and when do you usually have these conversations with, or communication regarding potential rate hikes? Is that once a year, or is it quarterly?
That is up to the parent companies to go and petition the state for any kind of rate decrease as well as rate increase. Okay. Again, and it takes months to get something through. So it's not nearly as fast as switching gears as you would think. So we at least have a good 6 months of foresight to a rate increase coming on. But that's not to say there's not things happening in the homeowners industry. So I'm super glad that you asked me to come. So I can explain some changes that you'll see coming. So some of the changes is the underwriting of homes and what companies are focusing on and what they're willing to allow. And so you will see even trees that look like they've got some kind of disease, or like pine trees especially, how we've got that bark beetle infestation, and they will ask you to remove trees that look like they're dead or dying. They are not very lenient on a roof that is over 20 years old. You're going to see them giving, renewal conditions, like you will need to have your roof replaced. And as a consumer, I understand roof is not an inexpensive purchase, and it's an expensive maintenance feature, but insurance companies are not wanting to wait until the roof leaks to decide you need to replace your roof. So something to be aware of when it's either a home you've had for a while or a home you're looking at. Age of roof is going to be super duper important.
So then let's say that the homeowner cannot afford to change the roof out. Are you going to cancel them? Not you, but.
I understand. Sometimes the policy might not get canceled, but there might be a roof exclusion put on the policy that if there's damage from the roof leaking, it might not be covered. You're going to see that a lot.
Wow. And so how would they know about the trees? Just by having somebody go out there to assess the property, or?
Trees, A rule of thumb, trees on top of your roof, bad.
Oh, okay.
So, just get up there and
Yeah.
whack away at the tree to get the branches off the roof.
Right.
Because that constant of the breeze, rubbing on those shingles
Yep.
of any kind, it lifts, it pushes debris up underneath. It just is a roof hazard. And the whole pine tree dying, I think we all know what that looks like. I think just honestly as a homeowner, next week I'll get to that, I'll get to it, I see it, but it's just one of those put off, because that's a big undertaking too, especially some of these pine trees are ginormous.
Yeah, it's a big job.
So are there
sure.
other preventative tips that you can tell the viewers that they maybe should do to?
Yeah, just in general, any kind of shrubbery or vines, like wisteria comes to mind, that can look super pretty, but if it gets up under the eaves and those little vines, they work their way in and can really do a lot of damage, and it looks pretty. I get it. But you have to be diligent about snipping and keeping it from getting too invasive.
Right. It's like morning glory. I don't know. I mean, that's just.
That's another.
It's really,
That's
it's really, yeah.
I mean, it's really pretty. Like, I love the colors, but it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a crazy weed. I mean,
Yeah.
it just goes crazy.
Keep it on a trellis, and because if you can at least keep it on a trellis, and then you can just pull it away from the home. But boy, when it gets up under the eaves, bougainvillea too.
It leaves a marking too if it gets on your, the stucco.
It does.
And
Yep.
the wood,
Yep,
if you
it
pull
does
it off,
damage.
it's like it almost like
adheres.
it, yeah, it like
To it, so,
takes it off. And
Yep.
also another thing is rodents. When you have things attached or connecting to the roof,
Oh my
they have a
gosh.
way to get up, and then
A ladder.
yes.
It's a total ladder. And then they're up in your attic and, oh.
those. That's just anyway.
So then, was there something also about the eaves?
Yes. As you find the homes, especially when you start moving more further out, you're going to see requirements to what's called boxing in your eaves. So most homes in Santa Maria, if you go out your front door and you look up, the eave is open. You can see the wood. Where a boxed in eave is completely closed in. So it's another piece of wood. So embers, and when there's a fire, embers can't get stuck up under the eave and stay there and burn the house down.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Isn't
I
that-
like
that's good,
that.
huh?
I mean, that makes sense. Kind of like, well, why wouldn't you just automatically close those in?
I think a lot of newer houses, you're starting to see that.
I was going
Okay.
to say, I think
Oh,
I've seen it
yeah.
up there in Rice Ranch.
Yes.
But in the older homes, like mine, it was built in the early 60s.
It's not there. No, mine. I mean, I'm in the 80s, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And
So basically, my advice would be to anybody is look at the distance you are from the fire station. The further distance you are from the fire station, the more requirements you're going to have to fulfill, more hoops you may have to jump through to keep your policy in force. And that would include making sure all brush is removed from around the property, so you have a clear, defendable fire space that they can save your home. And, things you can do. Boxing in the eaves, it certainly helps.
okay.
Those are great ideas.
Yeah,
Thank you.
definitely.
Yeah.
And as far as with that all taken into consideration, now what would your typical 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, in pretty good condition home, on average, cost a buyer, a new purchaser, a year for?
That is, I can't really put an answer on that, because I've seen homes, that are, pretty modest, traditional home that would be $225 a square foot to rebuild. I've seen that same home with the same square footage that has had a lot of upgrades and detail and crown moldings, and it's $500 a square foot house to rebuild. So it all is what to rebuild.
Gotcha.
And then it also, the premium is based on your credit score too, right? Or has that nothing? Not in
Oh, I
California?
remember
Okay,
that.
remember?
Yeah. Okay, I
In
remember.
other states, that is
That's right.
true,
Yeah.
but not in California.
Hey,
Okay.
all right.
Yay, California! So then, going to an escrow, talking about an escrow, so then when would you advise a buyer to call you and get a quote?
The minute you think you're going to put an offer in,
Okay.
the minute. Yep.
Now, there's areas around town that you're not able to insure, correct?
There's some distance out when you're in the Tanglewood area, just because their proximity to a fire station. It's getting, their responding fire station is all the way Clark, that county fire station on Clark. I think that's their responding fire station. They're getting, when you get to the back end of Tanglewood, they're getting beyond 5 miles for a responding fire station.
So 5 miles is kind of the key
Yes.
distance.
I'm gonna
that
go look
before-
for a fire station now.
Yeah.
Is that the one by Tiffany Park? Is it way up? I mean,
Clark, yeah.
maybe like Stillwell by the kind of by the.
Yes, by the freeway.
That would be, yeah, that's
It's a long way.
Yeah.
I think that is the responding fire station for Tanglewood.
Surprised they don't have one closer.
Yeah. Well,
That's interesting.
so, okay, interesting. So when someone buys, say, a property in Tepiscay, what do they do?
Well, it depends, but generally speaking, what they might have to have is 2 policies. They may have to have a California Fair Plan policy that would cover fire from lightning, and that, and then they would have a companion policy that would cover all the additional water pipe break in the home and that kind of loss. So you would actually have to have 2 policies, and that's common in a lot of rural California. I learned something just another week. I had a customer that was relocating way up north to Cottonwood. There's still a volunteer fire station there.
Oh, wow.
They don't have a 24-hour manned fire station like we do in Santa Maria. So how lucky are we that we still have? And I was like, is this for real? And they were like, yeah, it's a volunteer. It's the community fire department.
That doesn't sound very reassuring.
Well, you think of the response time, you have to leave your job or whatever it
out of
is
bed?
that exactly you're doing to respond.
Oh, there's a fire? Yeah. That's, wow.
I was told 85% of rural communities are actually volunteer fire stations, and I hadn't. I think I understood the whole volunteer fire station. I just didn't realize the amount that.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Wow. So what in that particular, were we able to help her with?
You have to have 2 policies. You're going to have one for fire, and through the California Fair Plan, which was designed for homes in hard to insure places. Malibu Canyon, and it's a gamut of places. There's a lot of places are kind of in high risk fire areas, and that's what we do. We write California Fair Plan and a companion policy with another company, sometimes called a difference in conditions. That is not going to cover the fire. That's what the Fair Plan's going to cover.
Okay. Can you just explain dwelling coverage a little bit too?
Dwelling coverage is the cost to rebuild the home, not the purchase price or current market value of the home.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the cost to rebuild. Okay.
Yes.
And so you have a different calculation on that versus.
So we generally ask the customer to help us walk through what are the features, and when it's a new purchase, we really use the MLS to actually do a kind of a view of the home so we can help and, discuss what upgrades have you done and what would it cost to rebuild the home. And it can vary, but average, I would say, start somewhere in the $225 a square foot, $250, and then it can go up.
Depending on upgrades.
Or a racquetball court in the middle of your house. Different strokes, for different folks. Everybody's got a thing. It's not uncommon for someone that has an avid wine collection to actually have a wine room or a cigar room, or to have,
Or even artwork, have a little mini museum or.
Well,
then artwork would be your personal property, not the dwelling. So we only are concerned with how much to build the home. All your artwork, anything that would go into a moving truck that you would move to your new home, is your property,
okay.
separate.
That would be separate.
So then, let's say you do have a disaster. Do you automatically have a little coverage in there that puts you up in a place?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Additional living expenses
Okay.
is actually probably one of the most used coverage. Even people who rent homes use that additional living expense, because if you live in a condominium or an apartment and the neighbor catches on fire but all the sprinklers go off, you too are affected. So yeah, we actually pay additional living expenses probably more than any other peril.
And so like in that particular instance with like if it was an apartment or a condo, then the neighbor would have to run it through their insurance first, right?
Necessarily, it's all depending on how the ccnrs are written.
Okay.
So in their ccnrs, it states who's liable for the damage, and that varies. It can be every man for themselves, and it can be where the water came from.
Interesting.
Okay.
So that's why I always ask for a copy of the ccnrs when we're writing the policy.
Right.
That's something we do a little different. I always ask for a copy so I can explain to you how your master policy is going to cover before your personal policy will cover. I like to know that up front, not at the end, not when we need to know.
When you're being surprised or called, huh? For help?
Keep it in your folder. I have a whole thing of ccnrs, but I also keep one with you. So if there is a claim, we usually have to get that to a claim adjuster. At the same time, what's covered on your policy, they want to know. I can move it along much quicker.
Great.
All
Okay.
right.
Well, you're always full of information,
Yeah,
Michelle.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. We appreciate you coming by. And
My pleasure.
how can people reach you? What's your number?
Phone number for the office is 805-348-1665. We're on the corner of Broadway and Betaravia.
Wonderful.
Thank
Well,
you for
so
coming.
much.
Thanks, you guys.
If you
ahead.
need any more information or have questions, you can reach me, April Hugh, with Century 21 at 805-878-5056.
And I'm Miko Nehman with EXP Realty, 805-714-8124. To see more information, go ahead and click on that button, and you can reach me at 805-714-8124.
And my number is 805-878-5056.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, we'll see you soon.
Bye.